Good morning. In this video, we're going to cover a couple of different things. One of them is dealing with the frustration in trading. Sometimes when frustration comes about, it's not necessarily because of a winning trade that's too small or a losing trade. It's often comes about because of something else. And that something else often is expectations. And one of the things that I like to use that we cover in much greater detail in several videos in the expanded course is the expanded pivot formation. This is something that is really neat. And in this video here, we're going to focus on that. If you remember in October, here's a Hogs chart. And if you remember in October, I said, hey, let's watch these guys. This is one I'm very interested in. And as you can see, it's been very much of a sideways type situation. But even though it's sideways plus, I'm ahead over $1,000 for each hog position I have on. So we're going to go over the EP a little bit. And like I said, we go into it in much greater detail in the expanded course. Of course, in the expanded course, you have the ORE. You have just an incredible number of things. And the reason I'm telling you about it right now is because Black Friday is coming up. And between right now and Black Friday, you course members have the opportunity to get the expanded course at an incredible price. Remember, there are only 100 possible sales of the expanded course, and we have not yet hit our number of 100. So it is still available, and it comes with all the incredible material plus all the original Andrew stuff. Plus, in addition to that, you also get just a whole slew of videos, many of which cover the EP. It covers some really incredible studies I did years ago that involve Elliott wave. It covers a number of things, and we also add to it a couple of original Andrews documents that we had from them. And so these are not copies, these are the originals that we received. So they wind up being collector's items for some people. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to go through the market here. I'm going to go through a whole bunch, and you're going to see that sometimes there's no trades, and sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for some. And all we're going to do is focus on the EP. Okay. Okay. Now this is the hog. So just a quick refresher. The basic EP pattern is very simple. You have this here, and you have this here. So you have one. See how the lines are focusing in two different directions, right? So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Okay. Now, and well, gee, this is just one situation. Let's look at how useful is this. Remember a few months back I mentioned, gee, I really like the cocoa. Let me see, Z4. Let's take a look at that. Well, if you remember, I was going short up here, and down she went very nicely. Now, yeah, I did get out early somewhere down here. Probably could have waited till it was down here or so. But still, it was a very nice ride down. Okay, and once again, there you have your EP. Okay, but that's just cocoa and that. Well, let's take a look, see if that's elsewhere. So a few months earlier, it doesn't like that. I'll have to, let me see if I can find the cattle. Find the example in the cattle. There we go. I know why this isn't going. LEV 2014. Now watch it go. Still doesn't like it? Oh, come on. So let's take a look at this, and this is another cutie, all right? Isn't that nice? Boom. And yeah, I did wind up getting out around here somewhere. I probably could have waited till here, but this was still a good chunk of move, right? Okay, so and there's various things. It's not just entering for the EP. It's sometimes you want to enter after it stops down here and take the ride to the other way. It just there are certain things that are um, absolutely textbook that you can use. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's see what we have right now in the markets. Okay, so here's AUD. We have nothing. And you know, this is a frustration that traders have. A lot of times there's nothing. That's the way it goes. And you're better off having nothing with the cash in your wallet than screwing around. Okay, so this one here, if we go up and make a new high, I'll consider this as something to look at. So there we have one possibility, right, down the road. Okay, and here's another one. Notice this is also AUD. Now, here's what happens when you have a currency pairs. One of these two will often have a brother, so to speak, that will also have a signal about the same time. So let's take a look. Here we go. See, this one's another possible signal. So actually you have three in the AUD currency pairs. Okay. Okay, this is CAD, CHF. Here's another one. So what do we have now? About 4 or 5 cheapers. You know? Really, guys. Okay, now in this one here, I'll admit, we had a signal over here. Okay, so we had our signal, boom, we had a lower low, so we had a sell. Okay, and then what we do is we put an automatic stop in what I call a fire exit, and it's up there somewhere. Now, why do we take it from this high value here versus waiting, a few days later or something like that and using this value here? Because as you can see, later on this value here came, and later on this value here came. And if we keep adjusting it upward, we keep adjusting our loss upward. And so this way we have a very definite fire exit value up here. Okay. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this one, you got to take a look at these on a weekly chart sometimes. Look at this, death warmed over, vroom, sideways since forever. So as we know from Andrews, a 3P is something to watch because that's often where you get a reversal. Let's take a look now. CHF, where are we? We're there. Okay. And we have no EP here. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, this is one to watch, EURCAD. I remember the other one was, what, CAD, CHF? Let's take a look. What was the other one? Yeah, this is one we're watching, so this is one of the sister ones because it also has CAD in it, right? And so this one needs to make some new lows in order to get interesting. This is a nice example. See, here was your EP. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Huh? Boom, up she went. And now she's come back down again. It happens. Okay, as we look through here, see, just not finding anything in a lot. But we've already found, if we're taking a look at what may happen during the rest of the month, probably a good 5 or 6 things so far. Jeepers. Now, here we're looking at the meal and stuff, and notice that when I go through here, oops, see, I got to add ZMH5. Notice that I'm looking at both the current month and the next one out, and I'll show you why in a second. Had I only looked at the current month and this one here, I would not have found a signal. Okay. But instead, what I did was I looked at the next month out when I was looking at this here, and yes, I did find a signal. See, and that's why I'm long this one here right now. And the bonds are one we'll keep an eye on, as are the T-notes. And we have a possibility here, and then go down. Might happen. Now this one's a little tricky. Notice the December, which by the way is a very active contract. Look at that high volume compared to February and January and stuff. So, but the problem is the future months out there don't have that in the pattern. So you've got to consider how much time you have left in the contract if you're going to put on one of those positions. You have an EP in that, okay? Now, one of the things you want to look at, keep an eye on, is the S&P. Notice it's right up there near that line. And what's interesting, you have a similar situation in the Qs. Let's see if we have that in the Dow. That's already busted through that line in the Dow. Okay, let's look at gold real quickly. Oh, there's a weekly pattern. Let's look at daily. Here's one to keep an eye on. Here's this guy goes and makes new lows here pretty soon. If this makes new lows before it makes new highs, I'd be looking at this as a possible EP. By the way, this pattern that we're looking at, what we call the EP, it has been around since, well, before the turn of the century, around 1900 or so. Somebody published it in a book, and they call it the megahorn. But the trick, of course, is computerizing the darn thing. Let's just take a quick look. Let me get rid of some of these eyes here. Okay, I'll get them quickly out of the way. Here's a nice big test. Here's a test we did, and it doesn't, oh, God, uncooperative. Doesn't like that either. Let me just try something. Doesn't like that. Well, anyway, we've done for some reason the software is being uncooperative today. That may have to do with where we're looking at it from. Let me try this. Nope, it just doesn't want to do it. We run all these tests, and sometimes the software just appears to be uncooperative. Let's see what happens here. This one it liked. Okay. These it didn't for whatever reason. Okay. Let's see if I can get something else done here. Well, get rid of these little tiny individual tests. And we'll see what it says. Yep. Likes that one. Okay. Over the 4 years, this one did 25. See, well, this is a good example as any. This one had a low yield. But notice that the exposure was 22%. And what this means is that when you do studies or you do trading in real life, one of the things you'll find is that your money is just sitting there in cash a lot of the times, and that's just the way it is. And you need to really learn to relax and live with that. And let's see if we can get something better here along the way. Yeah, well, we're getting up there. See, this one here, the exposure was 42%, and the annual was 7.49 in that study. So you can see it goes up as exposure goes up. Now this was a really good one, but computer won't show it to me. Okay. Well, show me this one. Well, it won't show me that one either. Well, maybe there's another way around it. There we go. Okay, yeah, this is one of the ones that wouldn't show me. Here we go. Okay, now notice in this one here, our exposure is already up to 60%. So this is actually really quite good. This one's over 22% annually. This is a raw run, so this is no no leverage, no this, no that. And see, your Sharpe here was 3.05 and your drawdown was only 5.24, but that's because it was only one position at a time. Okay, but it's still over a period of 4 or 5 years. Historically, it tested out you making this percentage here, which is really quite nice. Okay, and it's only in the market 60 some odd percent of the time. Yeah. Yeah, same test. So let's see a chart there. That's a pretty one. Yeah, this went all the way back from 2011, this particular study. So this gives you some idea of why it's worthwhile to master the EP. Okay. So now that you've spent a good amount of time watching this video, just want to remind you again, we do have a special between now and Black Friday on the expanded course material, with all the videos on the EP and lots of in-depth stuff on that. So I thank you for your time and see you next time.